You know, it's pretty wild when you stop and think about bowling, like rolling a ball at pins. This goes back, way back.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking, what, ancient Egypt, like 3200 BC?
Exactly. They actually found, balls and pins in tombs. Maybe not our 10-pin, but still.
Yeah, the core idea was there. It popped up in the Roman Empire too, and Germany had its own versions.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Hmm.
What else we do now that has these, like, super ancient roots?
It does. It seems to tap into something fundamental, that desire for a game, skill, a bit of luck, maybe.
Right. Even if they were using, like, leather husks back then instead of shiny resin balls, the aim was the same.
A target, an object. It's a constant across cultures.
So fast forward, we get to the version most of us know.
Yeah.
10-pin bowling, that's the big one.
Definitely most common.
Though, just quickly, there are others out there. You've got candlepin, duckpin, even lawn bowls or bocce, which are sort of cousins.
Target games, yeah, different vibe.
But today, we're going to dive into 10-pin. For anyone who's curious, how it works, who's playing, the gear, why it's still around.
And it's interesting why 10-pin became so dominant. It's got that balance, right? Easy enough to start, but tricky enough to keep you hooked.
Okay, so let's break it down. The basics.
Yeah.
You're at one end of this long, smooth lane.
Super smooth, usually wood or synthetic.
And your job, roll that ball, knock down the 10 pins way down at the other end. Sounds simple.
On the surface, yeah. But that lane, it's not just a flat surface, there's oil.
Ah, the oil patterns.
Exactly. We don't need to get lost in the specific patterns today, but you have to know they're there. They really affect how the ball moves.
Like invisible currents or something.
Sort of, yeah. They guide the ball or make it skid or hook, depending on the pattern and how you roll it.
Okay, so you take your turn. That's called a frame.
Mm-hmm.
And usually you get 2 shots in a frame.
Right. 2 chances to clear all 10 pins, unless.
Unless you get them all in the first try, boom, that's a strike. Feels good.
Oh, yeah. And a strike actually ends your turn for that frame right there.
Except in the 10th, we should say. That one's a bit different.
Right. The 10th frame has some special rules for bonus rolls if you strike or spare. But otherwise, strike means 1 ball.
And if you miss some on the first ball, but knock down the rest with your second?
That's a spare. Also good.
Now, the scoring. This is where it gets interesting. It's not just 1 point per pin.
Well, it is 1 point per pin you knock down, but strikes and spares give you bonus points.
Explain that. So a strike.
A strike gets you 10 points for those pins, plus the points from your next 2 rolls.
Okay, so it carries over.
Exactly. And a spare gets you 10 points, plus the points from your next 1 roll.
So you're always thinking ahead a bit. And the ultimate goal, the dream score.
That'd be the perfect 300. 12 strikes in a row. From frame 1 all the way through the 10th, including the bonus rolls.
12 straight strikes. That's tough.
Extremely tough. It shows how that bonus system really rewards consistency and strike streaks. It makes it exciting.
So who's actually out there doing this? You might think it's niche, but the numbers are huge.
Oh, massive. Globally, something like 120 million people bowl in over 90 countries.
And here in the U.S. alone, it's, 70 million? That's a lot of people rolling balls down lanes.
It really is. And I think a big part of that is how accessible it is. You don't need to be, a super athlete.
Right. And they've made it more inclusive, too, haven't they? Like adaptations for bowlers and wheelchairs.
Yeah, things like the Akan bowler, special ramps, bowling arms. It opens the game up.
And it's not just about the sport itself. It's really social. Leagues are everywhere.
Absolutely. All levels, from super serious scratch leagues to, just for fun leagues.
Like that person online mentioned, joining a casual league is just a good way to hang out and meet people.
Totally. It's got that built-in community aspect. You can practice alone, sure, but the league structure, that's a big draw for many. Regular fun, bit of competition.
Okay, let's talk gear. The tools of the trade. First up, the ball.
Right. Not just any ball. A 10-pin ball is pretty specific. Around 8.5 inches diameter.
And the weight. They feel heavy.
They range usually between 6 and 16 pounds. Most have 3 finger holes drilled in.
And the material matters.
Yeah.
Right? Plastic versus the other stuff.
Big time. You've got the older style, often plastic or urethane balls. They tend to roll straighter. Then you have the modern reactive resin cover stocks.
Reactive resin. That sounds fancy.
It kind of is. That technology, which really took off in the 90s, creates way more friction with the lane. That's what lets bowlers make the ball hook or curve so much.
Ah, so that's the key to the hook, and everyone says get your own ball drilled properly.
Oh, definitely. If you're going to bowl even semi-regularly, a pro shop can measure your hand, find the right weight and span for you. Makes a huge difference.
Compared to just grabbing a house ball off the rack?
Night and day. A good fit means a cleaner release, more consistency, less risk of injury, frankly. And they can help you pick a ball if you want to learn to hook.
Makes sense. Then the pins.
Yeah.
The targets.
Yep. 10 of them. Cylindrical shape, bit wider near the top. 10 pins are the biggest, heaviest type.
Made of wood, or?
Traditionally, rock maple wood, yeah. Those synthetic pins are really common now, too. They have to meet specific standards, of course.
Right, set by the governing bodies. And lastly, the shoes. You can't just wear your Nikes.
Please don't. Yeah, bowling shoes are crucial. The rental ones protect the alley's approach area.
But they also help you bowl. Right, the different soles.
Exactly. One shoe, usually for your sliding foot, has a smooth leather or synthetic sole. Lets you glide into your release.
And the other one.
That one usually has a rubber sole. Gives you traction, helps you brake and stay balanced.
So if you get serious, you buy your own pair for a better fit and maybe a more consistent slide.
Pretty much, yeah. More control over your slide is a big plus.
Okay, gear sorted. Now, how do you actually get good strategy time? For beginners, it's mostly about aiming, I guess.
Yeah, finding a consistent mark. Those dots and arrows on the lane aren't just decoration.
They're guides.
They are. You pick a target, maybe an arrow closer to you, not the pins themselves, and try to roll your ball over it consistently.
Consistency seems key, like repeating the same approach and release.
That's fundamental.
Yeah.
And learning to adjust. If you keep missing left, maybe you move your starting position a bit to the left. Simple adjustments.
And then comes the hook. People seem to eventually want to learn that curve.
It definitely increases your strike potential, getting the ball to enter the pins at an angle into that sweet spot.
The pocket between the 1 and 3 pin for righties.
Yep, or 1 and 2 for lefties. That pocket entry gives you the best chance of scattering the pins for a strike.
And the advice online was clear. Start with an entry-level reactive ball. Get it drilled, fingertip style.
That's generally good advice. Fingertip grip gives you more leverage to impart rotation, which creates the hook, and those resin balls grab the lane.
The hooking isn't everything, right? Spares are important too.
Oh, critical. Absolutely critical. You can't strike every time. Being able to consistently pick up your spares, knocking down whatever's left after the first ball, that's what separates good skulls from great scores.
Strike for show, spare for dough, as they sometimes say.
Exactly that sentiment, yeah. Don't neglect your spare shooting.
So for the folks who really get into it, there's a whole competitive world out there.
For sure. Professional bowling is a serious sport. Big tournaments, prize money, dedicated athletes.
And there's history here too, with the organizations that run things.
Yeah, you had the ABC, the American Bowling Congress, mostly for men, and the WIBC for women. They were huge for decades, setting rules, running tournaments.
Until they merged, right?
Correct. They came together to form the USBC, the United States Bowling Congress, which oversees amateur bowling now.
And for the pros.
You've got the PBA, the Professional Bowlers Association, mainly for men, and the PWBA, the Professional Women's Bowling Association, which was relaunched a few years back.
So there are dedicated pro tours. And internationally.
There's the IBF, the International Bowling Federation, used to be the FIQ. That's the global governing body.
And bowling's even in some big multi-sport events.
Yep. It's been a medal sport in the Pan American Games since 1991, I believe. So it has that international recognition.
Cool. And like any sport with a long history, it has its legends, its icons.
Oh, yeah. There's always that debate, right? Who's the greatest of all time?
Saw some of that online. Lots of names thrown around for the top 5 PBA greats.
And certain names always come up, like Earl Anthony.
The Machine, YM.
Just incredible consistency. Won a ton of titles. Very smooth, almost robotic style. Very effective.
Okay. Who else? Mark Roth.
Yeah, Mark Roth. Often seen as the guy who ushered in the modern power game. Cranked the ball, lots of revs, held the record for single-season wins for a long time.
Pete Weber comes up a lot, too. Seems like a character.
Oh, definitely. Passionate, maybe a bit controversial sometimes, but undeniably great. Lots of major wins, bowled at a high level for decades. PDW.
And Norm Duke.
Duke's known for his versatility. Could play any part of the lane, adapt to conditions, also won a ton, including majors. Longevity, too.
And Walter Ray Williams, Jr. The title count there is just
Go.
astronomical. Walter Ray holds the all-time record for PBA titles. Incredible accuracy was his trademark. Just relentlessly hit his mark.
So those are kind of the Mount Rushmore figures, maybe. But there are others, right? New guys, older guys.
Absolutely. You got Jason Belmonte now, the Australian two-hander who's dominated for years, won tons of majors. His style really changed
The
things.
two-handed approach, yeah. Seeing that more.
And people still talk about the older generation, like Don Carter, Dick Weber, Pete's dad, who were pioneers in the televised era. It's a rich history.
It really is. And beyond the actual game, bowling's just seeped into the culture, hasn't it?
Totally. You see it referenced everywhere. In art, sometimes just in phrases, like you said, thunder being God bowling.
Yeah, where does that come from? It's just part of the lexicon. And think about its history as a social place, tied to taverns early on, then shifting more towards family entertainment centers.
Especially after Prohibition in the U.S., right? That pushed it into a different kind of venue.
Exactly. It adapted. And, I mean, there's even a bowling alley in the White House.
That's right. President's Bowl.
Mhm.
It shows how it's kind of woven into American life.
It does. And even if you just mention the title of that book, Bowling Alone, people kind of get the reference to community and social connection, or the perceived decline of it, tied to bowling leagues.
Right. It became a symbol for that discussion. It's more than just knocking down pins.
For sure. It carries social and cultural weight.
Looking back at the evolution, the equipment changes were huge. From wood bowls,
To rubber, then urethane, then the reactive resins we talked about. Each step changed how the game was played.
and standardizing the rules was massive too, late 1800s.
Yeah, the formation of the ABC was key for that. Getting everyone playing by the same rules, same pin dimensions, lane specs, that allows for real competition.
And then the technology that maybe had the biggest impact on popularity.
Gotta be the automatic pin setter, the 1950s.
Before that, you had pin boys setting them up by hand.
Yep, kids, usually. The automatic pin setter just revolutionized the pace of the game, the efficiency of bowling centers, made it boom.
It's amazing how one invention can just transform an activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's still evolving, you know. New ball technologies are always coming out. People are refining techniques like the two-handed style. It keeps changing.
So, okay, let's try and wrap this up. We've covered quite a bit of ground here on 10-pin bowling.
Yeah, from its ancient origins to the basic gameplay, the frames, strikes, spares.
The gear balls, pins, the special shoes.
Yeah.
Talked about who plays, the huge numbers, the social side.
Touched on strategy, aiming, hooking, the importance of spares. Dipped into the competitive scene, the organizations, the legends.
And its cultural impact, how it's changed over time with technology like pin setters. It's been quite the journey down the lane.
It really gives you a solid picture, I think. It's a game that's simple on the surface, but has layers of skill, history, and social connection.
And hopefully this gives you a good foundation. If something specific caught your ear, maybe leagues or learning to hook or watching the pros, definitely dive deeper.
There's always more to learn or experience.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Isn't it fascinating how something seemingly so simple, rolling a ball at pins, has not only survived for millennia, but thrived, adapting, changing, and embedding itself so deeply in cultures worldwide?
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other everyday things, other simple games or activities might have similarly surprising depths and long, winding histories if we just, took a closer look?